Hey there, it's Mike Cooch, and welcome to the 2.0 update of the R4 sales system. Let me tell you what this update is all about. About 18 months ago or so, it became very clear that selling as we know it had forever changed. And the reason I say that is that all of this online, digital marketing stuff really started to come together into a system that really truly allowed you to lead with content to attract the market that you were looking for, and to not just lead with content and attract them, but also um, transition people who are attracted to that content into a sales funnel in a very systematic way. And in particular, I would say about 6 months ago, with some of the updates that have happened with the Facebook advertising network in particular, this concept really has become something that everybody can put into action, where you can take a step-by-step plan and execute it at your business, your client's business, any business. And when that happened, it really did become necessary for us to update the R4 sales system in order for me to continue selling the R4 sales system and feel good about it. Because honestly, the way that I have sold in the past and the way that I have drummed up business in the past, I would not do anymore. And that's not to say that I would not do any of the old sales techniques that I used to, like cold calling and things like that, but I would not do nearly as much of them. And those would be last on my list of activities that I would pursue after I had executed a content marketing and retargeting strategy like I'm going to share with you in the 2.0 version of R4. So in many ways, sales will never change, right? Sales is still about connecting problems with solutions. Trust is still absolutely critical. Relationships matter and will always matter. And we must still manage a sales process to move people from awareness of their problem, awareness of potential solutions, to being a client, to being a buyer of our solutions. So the fundamentals of sales will never change. So it's important that we always remember that. It doesn't matter how high-tech and highfalutin and automated we get in some of these sales strategies. The fundamentals will always remain the same. And if you are selling services to other businesses in particular, you're always going to have to do things like get on the phone, go to some meetings, right? Do some networking, things like that. Those things aren't going to go away. But what we can do is we can get the highest form of leverage to get us to those activities with prospects that are already pre-qualified, warmed up as much as possible, already view us as experts, already view us as authorities, so that we can minimize the amount of manual effort that we have to put into our sales process. And that's what this is all about. So why has selling changed? Well, people are attention starved. Okay, we have more and more forms of media, more and more ways of people reaching us. Between the various social networks and the various instant messaging platforms and email platforms, people are getting bombarded. And as a result, they're also getting better at tuning out unwanted interruptions from salespeople. Okay, they'll take messages from their friends and family members all day long and very happily be distracted throughout the day by those, but they don't want to hear from salespeople. And they're more in control of the evaluation process of products and services that they're considering, and they're more in control of doing that evaluation on their schedule. Okay, and I'm a real good example of this. Okay, there was a period of time in my career, let's call it 5 years ago now, where if the phone rang, I picked it up. If an email came in, I looked at it and I responded to it, because I felt like those were things that you had to do. You had to pick up the phone when somebody called, right? The phone was the ultimate form of, this urgency in communication, that I would never let a phone just ring in my office without picking it up. About 4 years ago or so, I started just ignoring phone calls. I would start to send all phone calls to a voicemail box, because I realized, hey, the majority of those calls coming in are not anything that are productive for me. They're interruptions, and so I'm just going to send them to voicemail, and then I'll just listen to my voicemail once at the end of the day and get back to the people that I want to get back to. Same thing with email. Okay, email started to be something where you start applying all of these filters, and you only check it twice a day, and it became less critical for me to review and respond to my email urgently, because I realized it was interruptions that I had to be careful to tune out. I had to be careful to control and to evaluate them on my schedule. And more people are doing this, and they're doing it primarily, again, with salespeople and sales messages. So we have to adapt. We have to allow people to discover who we are and discover our solutions and evaluate our solutions on their own schedule, but obviously do everything that we possibly can to influence that in our favor. Okay? So the great thing is we now have new tools to reach them in the way that they want to be reached. People like good content. Okay, the consumption of good content online is continuing to just go through the stratosphere, right? The amount of content that is consumed every day is growing by leaps and bounds. It seems like there's no end to it. So people want content, they want to consume content, they just want to consume content in their way, on their schedule, when they're ready to do it. Okay, but the great thing is we have new tools to reach them the way that they want to be reached, and in ways that are very, very economical. Okay, I consider this the luckiest time to be alive as an entrepreneur, because we can reach audiences so quickly, so efficiently, and so affordably that it's just an entrepreneur's dream. There's never been any time in history that even comes close to the capability that you and I have when we just sit down and plug $5 into Facebook. It's unbelievable. And if we do this content right, and we put it on the right platforms in the right way, we establish our brand, our expertise, and our authority when that content is consumed, which ultimately makes selling easier when it is time to actually sell, to actually get something to convert, right? When we have that foundation established, our brand, our expertise, our authority, our credibility, selling is much, much, much easier. And we do this with content marketing and retargeting. Content marketing and retargeting. Now, neither of these concepts are brand new. I mean, retargeting, really has come into the mainstream, I'd say, just in the last couple of years. Content marketing, at least 5 years before that, really evangelized by HubSpot when they started their business. But it's the combination of the two of them and the ease of the execution of the two of them in creating marketing and sales models that work for you and I that really has come together just in the last 6 months or so. Okay, so content marketing and retargeting means that we're going to use online content to get affordable, large, targeted distribution to the audiences that we want to reach. Okay, this is what we used to do in the R4 sales system with direct mail pieces. Okay, this is what we used to do with cold calling. Both of those things still work, by the way, but they are much more expensive, both from a financial perspective and time invested to execute. And the reality is that many of us just don't have the budgets to do those things at the scale that we want to. So online content marketing gives us that scalability, gives us the targeting, but it's very affordable. Okay, now retargeting allows us to keep in touch with those that are interested, with the people that raise their hands and say, yeah, I'm interested in this message that you have. Retargeting allows us to keep in touch with them and progressively move them through a funnel. And that's what's key. Progressively move them through a funnel. Okay, because I want to be really clear here. I am not saying just put content out into the ether and hope that deals come to you. Okay, hopefully you know me better by now, better than that by now, having gone through the R4 sales system to realize that I don't play business that way, right? We approach this as we approach business and sales as a very systematic process to generate revenue, systematic and measurable. And that has not changed. Okay, we are going to use content marketing and retargeting to move them through our funnel, progressively, proactively move them through our funnel in a very measurable, systematic, and automated way. And that's what's really key about this model, really interesting about this model, is that we can do this all largely just on an automated basis, so that we are constantly filling the top of our funnel and moving prospects through the first handful of stages of our funnel without the expense of manual effort. So this was the original R4 framework, our 4 R's: reputation, reach, resell, and referral. If I were to add a 5th R here now, it's remarketing, and that's on a foundation of content. Okay, we're now going to use content throughout each of these stages of the R4 framework much more aggressively, and we're going to use remarketing to drive people through our sales process. Okay, so if I were speaking to a client right now, or a potential client, and I was talking to them about the R4 framework, and I was explaining to them reputation, reach, resell, and referral, I would then pop up this content pyramid in the background, and I would say, what makes this all work in a highly leveraged way, in a highly automated and targeted way for you, Mr. Prospect, is for us to strategically put together content that effectively reaches out to our prospects and converts them into clients or into customers in a very systematic way by taking advantage of the power of the online distribution of content and remarketing. Okay, and this is the exact same message that I would say to you as a local marketer. This is exactly what you should be doing for your business. Okay, the R4 framework does not just apply to your clients. The R4 framework applies to you. You are a business just like your clients are a business. You need to get your reputation established, your credibility, your expertise. You need to increase your reach to a targeted audience. Okay, you need to continue to resell and drive referrals from your customer base and from your prospects that are supporters of yours, or partners that are supporters of yours. And you can do all this most effectively using content and remarketing. Okay, so that's the new R4 framework, the 5th R, if you will. And I joke that content is the 5th R. It's a C. but the remarketing of content is the fifth R. So the new R4 framework now has online content as the foundation of how every business sells. And one of the most influential guys, obviously right now in online media and social media, Gary Vaynerchuk, in his book Jab, 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 Right Hook, he talks about how every business is now a media business. And if you're not a media business, then you're missing the boat, because one of your competitors is, and one of your competitors is using that media to establish a much bigger pipeline with a much deeper relationship with the prospects that are in that pipeline than you are if you are not acting as a media business. Okay, so this does not mean that you have to become the next NBC or Universal Studios and be cranking out content all the time. And that's something that I want to stress in this program. It will not require you to be constantly cranking out content. That was actually the challenge of trying to be a content marketer for me about a year ago. Is I felt like, geez, I'm just on this treadmill of cranking out content all the time, and it's not really getting me anywhere in terms of measurable progress through a sales funnel. That's changed in the last 6 months, and that's what this program is all about. So you've got to use that content to let prospects discover your business and pull themselves through your funnel. Okay, but again, this isn't passive. You need to have a deliberate model to help them by strategically using that content at the right time at the right place. Okay, so this is a diagram of a sales funnel. Okay, you'll see you've seen all kinds of different versions of these. This just happens to be one that I like. I like the know, like, trust, try, buy version of a sales funnel. And on the right, that's language that I've used in my companies to identify the, to give name to the different stages of people in those sales funnels: suspects, prospects, opportunities, customers, and clients. Right? Suspects are people that we believe, just based on their titles and demographics and psychographics and location and things like that, that they could potentially be a prospect of ours. A prospect is somebody who's actually raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in what's going on here. An opportunity, somebody who actually has a time frame and a budget. A customer, somebody who has spent at least $1 with us. And a client, somebody who has an ongoing relationship with us. Okay, and then on the left-hand side, you have these phases, essentially the psychology of the people in your funnel, right? Attention and awareness, interest, desire, and action, AIDA. Right? Very a classic marketing acronym, AIDA. Attention, interest, desire, action. So our job now is to create appropriate online content for each phase of this funnel, and each phase specifically of the AIDA steps there. But we're going to simplify it even more. We're just going to focus that down just to 3 steps. Okay, awareness, evaluation, and decision, and we'll cover those here in this program. But those that take advantage of this model win. Okay, I want to stress that so much, that you have got to drink the Kool-Aid on this, or you really miss being left behind. Those that take advantage of this model win. And you can look in every industry and you will find companies that get this and are doing it well and are crushing the competition. And then you will find the majority of the companies that are sitting around watching them and wondering what happened. You don't want to be one of those businesses. Learn how to do this right, and you will dominate in your market. Learn how to do this for your clients, and they will dominate in their market. Okay? You will generate awareness way beyond what your competition is able to. You will have dramatically more expertise, perceived expertise, and authority. You will have a dramatically lower cost sales model, because you will be filling up your pipeline every day and moving people through that pipeline every day using a largely automated approach that is online and therefore very inexpensive. And you will be transitioning from a model of sales by pushing, right? And sales by pushing to me, I mean, is, we're making 100 cold calls a day to people who didn't want to hear from us, to a model of sales by pulling, where we're effectively putting our lures out there, letting our prospects bite, and then pulling them in through our funnel. Okay? This is the new way of selling, and this is how you win in the marketplace today and going forward.